Like it. Well, we'd love to probably get to know you two a little bit better. So can you tell us a bit about both of you and what's brought you to this point in your life where you're doing a third of the year in the Northern Territory and serving God in this way?
Well, we'd always talked about doing something interesting and adventurous when we finished our full-time work. And so, yeah, we just didn't want to be retired and sit around. We want to do something. And through COVID, there was lots of opportunities to think and pray through all that. And our three children aren't in Melbourne, so we didn't want to be in Melbourne anymore. Why be in Melbourne when you can be
careful.
somewhere else?
Wow.
So, well, I grew up in the country, so I love the country and being out. But yeah, so, and it was in COVID time that we saw in the prayer notes about them needing mentor type people, and someone rang Danny and said, "That's you should consider that as an option." And so Danny's probably retired a few years earlier than what we were thinking, but it's just worked out perfectly in all aspects of our lives. And yes, we're just loving the freshness of working together on something in mission, in ministry. And you know, even if we can make a little difference in the outback, that'll be worth it all. But it's lots of fun. We just love going and being up there. And our son does live in Alice Springs, so we get to see him.
That's part of the puzzle.
That
we didn't really anticipate. God's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So look, we've been involved in cross-cultural stuff in lots of different ways all our married life. So I won't bore you with all our history, but even as a pastor, I've served in a couple of the larger churches and gotten very involved in leading all the cross-cultural stuff. So I've known the leaders of most of the mission organisations, you know, beyond our denomination and other places, and we've travelled a fair bit. So this was, we just had a sense that when our full-time stuff that we're involved in was going to finish, that this may be a way to have a focus. I don't play golf, I don't fish. I don't want to sit and just drink coffee all day, so I need something to do. And while we've got a bit of time and energy, we thought, well, let's have a go. And they're giving us a chance, Kat. We'll see how long it lasts. You know, so far so good. We have our L plates on. We haven't been given P plates yet, so you know, we'll see how we go. So,
is there a special ceremony where you'll get given the P plates, or are you just expecting L's?
Well, about a bit over a year ago, we got on our knees in the church where we'd been serving, and some important people came and prayed for us. So I guess that was the launch. Yeah. But and look, that is significant and is important. And we worked that through with leadership, and we feel very humbled and supported by many churches and individuals. And look, to be very honest with you, I think we've been a bit surprised how easily even the formal support has come into, you know, we're part-time, but still there was very much the need and expectation, the significance of that relational support. But just, you say the word Indigenous at the moment, and we're the Victorians, I guess, that have the link in the national movement.
Yeah.
And so people have very quickly either followed on support from the past with, there was another couple from Victoria, Bill and Pauline Morrison, that finished up a few years ago, or just because of it's coming into the mainstream, isn't it? I think we just seem to be seeing the Indigenous issues getting a little bit more careful thinking at the moment. So it's been a very interesting time to sort of jump in to all of this because there's so much going on together.
So as you get ready to head up at the end of the week, what are the challenges that you're anticipating, and what are the areas that you'd like our prayer for?
Yeah, good question.
That's a great question, Kat, because we're going up into a different situation than what we thought. Danny said before that initially we were going to be going up to Yuendumu and walking alongside Matt and Shannon and supporting them, but they've moved. And so we're going to go up to Yuendumu to the Mission House, which has one or two community people, white folk living in the community there, in the house. And so we're going to be sharing a house, and we're going to be stepping into, well, we have met people there, and we'll try and just keep building on the relationships with key leaders there. There's some young people that Matt really wants us to be mentoring and discipling and encouraging. So yes, we will just be asking God to please show us who else he wants us to spend time with and invest in.
There's probably a couple main factors. So one is just, it's the people, the leaders, the up and coming generation, just engaging with a small remote desert community of people that will know we're there, and we're starting to get to know. But it's just how do you do that? Because the white fellas haven't always been helpful. So how can we be part of the answer, not part of the problem? So that's one area, I think, and just how to grow those relations. The other thing is, so Yuendamu's in the news at the moment a bit. This is where the policeman, so sadly ended up, that fellow got killed, and the coronial inquest is begun, I think, last week in Alice Springs. So the whole town is incredibly traumatized and impacted by all of that. So we're going to be going back this week as that's just getting going. So we're going to be walking into a situation where there's going to be a lot of tension, a lot of unknown. There's a lot of need. And it's just little old us. So how's God want to use that? So, and
we'll only be there for 3 weeks
this time.
And they know that we're going to keep coming back, which is really important, and they hold on to that. But yeah, we'd value your prayers that we'd connect with the right people, and God would give us opportunities to just start building the relationship and connection. Yeah.
And they're there grieving as Matt and Shannon go. Yeah, so it's transition. So transition times are interesting, aren't they? So there's opportunities as well as pressures that come with that. So it's a very dynamic environment. We're not the experts. I think we're incredibly humbled by the way people have engaged with us, supported us, and expected us to sometimes give some leadership or reflect, process stuff. So we really do need to be, just letting the Holy Spirit be in charge and trust him and keep going, and not focus on the wrong things. So, it's challenging. Melbourne's a tricky environment too, dare I say, to live in, I think, and work out some of these things in another way. The cultural stuff, just life as a disciple of Jesus, what is that? So Yuendamu has just a different frame for it. It's a bit more in your face. It's very different to Melbourne. And there's advantages and disadvantages with that.
Definitely. Sounds like you're going to be walking into a hurting community.
Yes, so that's very much so.
Yeah,
for a long time.
Our prayers go with you. Other than prayer and financial support, how can Beaumaris Mordialloc support you guys in this next really big and exciting and a little bit daunting chapter?
I think I keep encouraging everybody. Look, we feel like we're only half a page ahead, but we all need to learn a lot about, I think, just the Indigenous stuff. So there's stuff on NITV, SBS, there's stuff online, there's books you can read, there's some really helpful things that you can chase. So I think to just be aware is just huge. So I think as a movement, there's a lot of really good history, but we're all trying to get to a stronger place and a clearer place. So together we all need to learn, we need to listen. Our Victorian government has begun this truth-telling commission. There's the talk about the voice question for the referendum and all that. So pay attention. Don't sort of just generalize or knee-jerk in our responses, but actually listen, dig a bit deeper, think, own the Indigenous challenge in this country, which I think is more key than maybe we want to or understand, and that it impacts the spirituality of our country, it impacts the leadership of our country. And look, I wonder sometimes, the Indigenous people, they look at us white fellas and they can see right through us in ways that might confront people if they really knew. They don't want to be like us in so many ways. We've let them down. Our culture is not healthy in so many ways, but how together can we move forward? So we all need to learn, listen, back off a little bit, and maybe just be prepared to, I don't know, start again a little bit. There's a bit of that going on, I think. And so it's a big question. Check out. So I think do it locally, own it nationally, and to have people like us or Matt and Shannon, whoever that you can sort of track with, helps probably. Good on you, and just keep engaging with us, please. no question's a silly question. God might bring up something with you that might just sit right in the center of something we're dealing with, and we don't even realize how God's setting something up. So Beaumaris Multi-Alec can be a part of the future and the answer in ways maybe none of us understand today, and that's okay. But be expectant, and just give God space. I think that'll be my encouragement.